And here we see Cliff Couser. Intense calls himself the Tyson twin.
I was going to say,
be the judge.
If you're wondering what happened to Mike Tyson, that's not him, but he sure looks like him.
It's true to say that Mike Tyson is one of the most adored boxers of all time, with countless pop culture references and united appreciation between hardcore and casual fans to this day. But there is one man who likely topped all others in terms of his admiration of Iron Mike. Meet Cliff Couser, the man pictured on the right, the man who called himself Twin Tyson. In a 1999 interview with ESPN, Couser stated that he had been nicknamed as Little Tyson from a young age, and one day at 20, his mother pulled him aside and told him that he and Tyson had the same father. Since this moment, he has referred to himself as Tyson's half-brother. Now this is where it gets interesting. The man in question, who Couser claims to be their shared father, Jimmy Kirkpatrick, had a reputation for sleeping around, which likely led to many siblings Tyson was unaware of, and vice versa. However, little proof has been provided from either side as to whether they shared this father. However, Couser posted this image of what seems to be a printed photo a week back on his Facebook page. This is a man he claims was his father. There's definitely some resemblance from the last image on the screen, which is claimed to be an image of Tyson's father, and this image as well, although it's hard to tell as they look very different ages in both of the images. But anyway, you're probably wondering how his boxing career went, and the answer to that is, well, it's a bit complicated. On the ESPN interview I mentioned earlier, Couser said that he did have an amateur career. It was stated that he went 2-5 in his first 7 amateur fights. It was not noted what his overall amateur record was. It was mentioned that he had entered into a Golden Gloves tournament, and this is where he would begin his own interpretation of the Tyson walkout with a black cloth robe. Couser would turn pro in 1993, fittingly when Mike Tyson was in jail. He hinted that it was the deciding factor of his choice to turn pro at that point. Over his 19-year career, Couser would amass a pro record of 26, 22 and 2. But I think his career should be studied in 2 different sections, as at least half of his defeats came at the tail end of his career. He has fought many names you have likely heard of. These names include Monty Barrett, Tony Thompson, Chris Arreola, Clifford Etienne, James Tillis, Jorge Luis Gonzalez and Michael Mora, all of which were either world title challengers, world champions, or fighters who had fought in a high-profile fight at some point of their career. Couser also shared 2 common opponents with Tyson, James Tillis and Clifford Etienne. Couser beat Tillis via a 6-round stoppage, whilst Tyson went a distance with him. However, it is important to note that these fights were a decade apart, with Tyson fighting Tillis with 8 losses in 1986, and Couser fighting him with 19 losses in 1996. Their fights with Etienne, however, were much closer together. Couser was stopped by Etienne in 2000 inside 3 rounds, despite stunning Etienne badly himself, whereas Tyson finished the job and beat Etienne inside a round in 2003. In terms of his most notable fight, it's hard to doubt that it was in 2006 against former unified and 2-time heavyweight champion Michael Mora, who most notably dethroned Evander Holyfield at one point in his career. Mora made quick work of Couser, scoring a brutal knockout of Twin Tyson inside the very first round. And since I mentioned Evander Holyfield earlier, Couser in fact mentions that the real deal once had him mistaken for Iron Mike, despite having been opponents. The truth behind the story is unknown, but I think it's a rather amusing addition. In terms of his best victories, the 3 names that spring to mind are James Tillis, Jorge Luis Gonzalez, and Monty Barrett, the last 2 of which were considered big upset wins at the time. There is no available footage I can find of the Barrett fight, only the rematch is available on YouTube, which Barrett won. Another thing Couser has in common with his alleged half-brother is they both have disqualification losses to their name. Of course, in Tyson's case, there's the infamous ear-biting incident, but in the case of Couser, there's a lesser-known incident against opponent Malcolm Tant, where he wrestled Tan down to the floor in the first round and tried to hit him after taking him down, ultimately resulting in him being disqualified. Couser claimed after the fight that this was a form of protest due to back-of-the-head rabbit punching from Tan. A commenter on the video has outlined some interesting information regarding this fight. User Jonathan White said Couser talked to Tyson about how to handle being hit behind the head, because this took place when Couser fought Lance Whitaker. Ironically, this was another Goosen promoted fighter. Goosen had instructed his boxers to hit Couser behind the head. Tyson allegedly told Couser, "If someone does that to you again, make them pay." Thus the result of this fight. Ultimately, Jonathan suggests that Tyson had a say in the outcome of this fight. Many media reports which mention the two differ on the relationship the men had, so it's hard to recognise what to believe. Couser likely thought he had finally caught a break in 1997 when he got starred in Don King's movie Only in America, where he played, well, you guessed it, Mike Tyson. However, he was unable to pursue a further acting career. He also briefly dabbled in kickboxing, which included a fight on highly renowned Japanese company K1, which he would lose on points. Check out the start of this promo for his fight. But anyway, that's the end of the video. I'm sure there's many things I may have left out, since there are many rabbit holes to the story of Cliff Couser and his relation to Tyson, alleged relation. Let me know in the comments whether you buy it or not. And also, Cliff, if you are watching, apologies if I pronounce your name incorrectly, as I've seen many different pronunciations across different broadcasters. And also, it'd be good to do an interview, as I'm sure there's a lot that people would ask and that you may want to answer. So thank you for everyone for watching.